let's chant together. Satipatthana Sutta. Evang me sutang, ekang samayang bhagava, guru suviharati kammasa dhamma nama, gurunang nikamo, tatra ko bhagava bhikkhu amantesi, bhikkhavoti, padante tite bhikkhu bhagavato pacaso sum, bhagava etadavoca. Ekayano ayam bhikkhave mako satipatthana visuddhiya soga paridevanam samatikamaya dukkha domanassanam attangkamaya nyayasa adhikamaya nirvanasa satchikiriyaya yadidam cattaro satipatthana katame cattaro ida bhikkhave bhikkhu kaye kayanupassi viharati atapi sampacano satima vinayya loke avijjado manasam vedanasu vedananupassi viharati atapi sampacano satima vinayya loke avijjado manasam Citte cittanupassi viharati atapi sampacano satima vinayya loke avijjado manasam dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati atapi sampacano satima vinayya loke avijjado manasam. So who wants to read the translation?
Ajahn, we did this part last week.
Yes.
We are going to do it again from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just need to explain furthermore on that. Yeah. So, you want to read the translation?
I don't mind.
Okay.
Thus have I heard. At one time the Enlightened One was staying among the Kurus at Kamasadama, a market town of the Kuru people. There the Enlightened One addressed the monks thus, "Monks," and they replied, "Venerable Sir." Then the Enlightened One spoke as follows. This is the one and only way, monks, for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the extinguishing of suffering and grief, for walking on the path of truth, for the realization of nirvana, that is to say, the fourfold establishing of awareness. Which for? Here, monks, a monk dwells ardent with awareness and constant throughout understanding of impermanence, observing body in body, having removed craving and aversion towards the world of mind and matter. He dwells ardent with awareness and constant through understanding of impermanence, observing sensations in sensations, having removed craving and aversion towards the world of mind and matter. He dwells ardent with awareness and constant thorough understanding of impermanence, observing mind in mind, having removed craving and aversion towards the world of mind and matter. He dwells ardent with awareness and constant thorough understanding of impermanence, observing mental contents in mental contents, having removed craving and aversion towards the world of mind and matter.
So, this is the opening statement and the introduction or abstract of the entire sutta. There are some other information that I would like to share in relation to the Satipatthana before we go into the details of each stages, focusing on the kaya, kayanupassi, vedana, citta and dhammanupassi. According to the commentary, it seems like Buddha didn't taught this Satipatthana for the first time. So Buddha was teaching the Satipatthana in various places and in different parts of the Indian continent at that time. The reason behind that suggests why that Satipatthana was not taught for the first time at the Kuru is simply because people of a Kuru apparently it says, the commentary says that they were practicing the Satipatthana. Yeah? They were practicing Satipatthana. Now, how far this is true, is again, it's a matter of a question, a matter of investigation. But the commentary suggests that whenever people are meeting, whether in a market or whether in collecting the waters, that means a female as well, are talking about the practice of the Satipatthana, will be asking that which part of the Satipatthana are you contemplating on? So rather than talking about any other subjects or worldly subjects, they will be asking about the Satipatthana, that which Satipatthana are you practicing or contemplating. And further on, the commentary says that it is not just people, even animals were thought to be practicing Satipatthana too. Now, when there is one particular story given, if I remember correctly, it's a parrot. So one businessman had a parrot, and normally when he goes to other cities for the business, he normally lives at the nunnery. And here with this again suggests that in Kuru there were nunneries too. And that also suggests that there are Buddhists apparently there, established. And this Kuru nowadays is just outside of New Delhi. And this places still exist. When people go for a pilgrimage, they do go in that particular place to do the chanting of the Satipatthana and practice there. So many questions may arise by reading these commentaries. Number one is not a first discourse, not the first discourse that the Buddha taught on the Satipatthana. And the second is a Kuru country or Kuru Nigama, which means the village or the city, was in a way kind of a Buddhist city. Everyone talking on that, including this. The story says this animals. Now this parrot. It happened that this businessman didn't return to collect the parrot. So parrot left in the nunnery. And having seen this, nuns aboard adopted this parrot and fed. Now, story is a story. So, a nun could speak with the parrot. Yeah? And it happened that one day a nun asks a parrot, saying that, which Dhamma are you contemplating? And then the parrot said, I do not have any Dhamma practicing. I do not have any Dhamma that I am reflecting. And then a nun told the parrot, oh, that is so bad. That's not good. We must have some Dhamma to reflect on. We shouldn't be living heedlessly. So then this nun gave a parrot to contemplate a word, or it's called ati ati. And the parrot said, so be it. So every day this parrot began to contemplate on the word that was given by the nun. Ati, 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 like that. And after some times later, a nun again asks the parrot, which Dhamma are you contemplating on? And the parrot said, oh, I'm contemplating on ati ati. And in a sense that the parrot realized very deep knowledge on that. Ati means bones. So the parrot was basically contemplating that this entire body made out of bones. Nothing that belongs to me. So it's a bone out of a bone, made of a bone, and it goes off the bone, like that. So that's what the nun again told the parrot, saying that, oh, very well done, very well done. After the destruction of after the destruction of this life, you will have a good life next. So that is how the Satipatthana practice being introduced during the time of the Buddha in that particular Kurusu Dhamma. And now the reason why the Satipatthana was given to the Kurus again said that because of these contents, everybody was contemplating on it, and it's easy for them to reflect on and understand. Particularly the monks and nuns in that city. Now, that suggests that how difficult to understand this Satipatthana too.
Yes. It is how would you contemplate on that? If you are giving a word to contemplate as a Dhamma, that is that word, that it means bones, how do you unfold it in just the word?
Yeah.
And thinking like, I am made of bones, this is not mine. How do you develop that?
This is a first. The process would be contemplating on that until you gain the samadhi. Until you gain the samadhi. And then further on through that samadhi, there are ways to do that. And this is again from the Visuddhimagga, the path of purification. Ways are given in there. And here, the ways of doing is first, you repeatedly reciting the name.
Mm-hmm.
And the second, you locate where this is. where this is. I may not be right with this series, but this is how the one after another develops. I think maybe the first one is repeatedly reciting the name, and the second is the color of that particular object, and then the third is location in our body, and then how it conditions to other parts. Okay? Like, there are, I think, 5 ways, which I don't remember all. Am I right?
I don't know. Visualizing one of them, no?
Yeah, visualizing. Yeah, that's one of them is visualizing as well.
The monks who keep skeletons.
Yeah.
Some monks keep a skeleton. Look at.
That takes a long as well to.
Yes, definitely. But some people do need different techniques. Different techniques to get into the detail understanding. So, like that's why there are 32 parts of a body contemplation. And in that 32 parts of the body contemplation, you can take one of it. One of it, and then contemplating on it.
Yeah. Feel in your body as well.
Sorry?
Feel in your body helps.
Right. So yeah, like that. Okay. So that's fine. Where we are. So that's what it is. Difficult. Difficult to contemplate or maybe to realize.
Yes.
And for us, from looking at that the commentary, for us, it is like we also need to take one of the Dhammas, and contemplate slowly developing one after another, rather than taking a whole structure of it and then, okay, I'm going to be enlightened straight away.
So this is, it was you said that it was not the first discourse, so you was practiced this way at this time. Nowadays, like in your school, for example, you were taught like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe this is like a fully format, the complete format of the entire teaching into one discourse. So before, Buddha probably was teaching here and there, this is Satipatthana and you should practice like this and like that. That's why these small suttas, discourses are collected in the collected discourses and explaining in different forms and different ways. And this one is like a complete version of entire Satipatthana, and this is why, because the monks and people and nuns and even the animals in that place were contemplating on Satipatthana and various things,
Right.
not formalized.
It's like a compilation. So I guess when Buddha was saying this something like kaya anupasthi, they knew exactly what that would be. It's like they would have, just that word would prompt in them so much expansion.
Like that. But for us, it's like we are trying to absorb everything at once and understand everything immediately. So we need to make it as a habit doing it.
In the Visuddhimagga, do they give that instruction you mentioned for the Asubha? You take one at a time.
This comes in Kayakata Sati, but the expansion in the Visuddhimagga, the process of how it will be done, 32 parts of a body part contemplation.
So you don't take the entire body, you just take one
Yeah.
organ at a time.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
And that also come later on. The 32 parts of contemplation you may have read. It will come later as well. That here, in relation to this parrot, this one object was given to this parrot, and this parrot was able to develop. And in a way, it's like even animals are practicing. Why not you?
Yes, it's like it's a story.
Yeah.
It's like it can be a metaphor.
Yes. Yeah. It can be a metaphor. That's why I say story is a story.
There are some clever parrots.
Okay. So that is, and then here, still in this introduction, we can have a long study. The word sati itself and the word ekayano. The two words. One is sati itself. And the second is in that introduction, uddesho, the first word ekayano. And that is also a subject that can be discussed quite long. And again, there is a Satipatthana Visuddhiya, the first benefit of the practice, the purification of beings. That's another subject that we can discuss by bringing 7 Visuddhiyas. There are 7 Visuddhis. So it's one is sati, second is ekayano, and the third is 7 Visuddhis. The Visuddhi means purifications.
Okay, thank you.
Visuddhiya. How one can purify. So Satipatthana means the beings. So how one should be developing or purifying it. So this 1, 2, 3 things we can discuss before we go ahead. So now, Theta Dhammo, would you like to say something on ekayano?
The other translation is not only way, but direct way. It's pretty clear cut. This is the only way you can go to Nibbana. There's no other way. But the direct path, it sounds more open. Say, this is the direct path, not the only one. And that's all I know about.
Okay. So again, it has a different meanings. Ekayano. Eka means one. Ayano means gone or going. And here, the different translation would be one only going.
One way street.
Yeah, only you can go.
Yeah.
You can't take anybody else with you.
Okay.
And then on this path, so that's again only way, or that only way, this is the only path. Yeah, only way you take to the Nibbana. Yeah?
You could do think also, if you are on it, you are going. Right?
Yes, yeah, that is also. So if you're practicing Satipatthana, then that is leading to the Nibbana.
If you are doing it properly, it will take you
The Nibbana.
to Nibbana, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, this is the only path. Once you are on that right path, definitely you will be there. So that's why the only one. Yeah. And the second is, you can't take anybody else. You have to walk alone on this path.
It's your personal journey.
It's a personal one. Yeah. And then another way is, as Theta Dhammo said, once you have practiced the Satipatthana, you would be there. So this path is leading to it. So that's why it is known as the Ekayano. I think in Atthakatha, the commentary speaks of about 5 different meanings. Yeah. Okay? 5 different meanings of Ekayano. By differencing Eka into one and Ayana. And Ayana also defines in different forms. So that's why this word also interesting to know. Before I used to have a question. Every religion would say this is the path to liberation. Yeah. So if you go through the Jesus, then you will be in the heavens.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. So you have to go through. And then same with Islam. Yeah? And every religion has got there one particular path. Once you followed, then you will be in that liberation. And then when I was reading the same, this is the only way. Yeah? And I felt like, what is the difference between other religion and what the Buddha was claiming?
Why is that?
Yeah?
Difference is the audience. It's like, I guess if you look at a lot of, you can't really take this sutta alone. If you look at it along with the other suttas, he's not making such claims.
Yeah, I mean, initially.
Yeah. But the audience, they already practice Satipatthana.
Yeah.
So
but it's the way it's explained as well to the audience.
Yeah.
It's the difference,
Yeah. Like someone who just read it, they immediately, if they have a knowledge of other faiths, then they will be, oh, what is the difference? They are also teaching, and he is also claiming same thing. So that's why we have to go deeper into the same, in analyzing the word itself.
Like, also if you've been practicing for a while, let's say like the Kuru people, and you hear this, it would make sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So, because it's like, you wouldn't say this to a random guy.
No.
Like if you say it to some Brahmin who's coming and saying, Ekayano, I am Bhikkhu, he would be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, my teacher also says
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And so, in other suttas like Kanu Sutta, it's really funny, the farmers were saying, we get teachers coming and telling us this is the only way, and then he goes away and another guy comes and says the same thing. So what do we do? And then the Buddha explains how they can, properly investigate for themselves. So it's like, they didn't need to hear that because they already
practicing. They are already practicing that. So in relation to that, what just to remember now, that Buddha said there are 3 ways of gaining a knowledge. One is called a Sutta Mayapanya, by hearing. Hearing the teachings from somebody. And the second is called a Chinta Mayapanya, and that is investigation or reasoning of words or teachings that you have heard. And the third one is a Bhavana Mayapanya, and that is like properly investigated by yourself, an experiential understanding. It's called a Bhavana Mayapanya. And now, these 3, the pots, compartments of one is a Sutta Mayapanya, the knowledge that we acquire through listening, knowledge by investigation and reasoning, and the third one is a Bhavana, or the experiential knowledge. Buddhism is about this one, the third one. And in terms of before Buddha, these 2 way of learning were there. Okay? The number 1 is listening, and now the whole this the so-called the Vedas are taught or transmitted as form of a listening. Right? And that's again known as the great ascetics,
Parampara.
parampara, telling the story of this, the whole Vedas. And then there occurs somebody, after hearing it, investigate and reasoning and going into the woods and practicing meditation and gaining the investigative understanding on the knowledge that he or that they have heard. So that is a second. So that's a second knowledge, second group of people that gaining knowledge by investigating. And this is again known as Upanishad, period of Upanishads.
But when you say like investigating, I mean, you would investigate according to what you are listening and experiencing.
It's not about experiencing, it's about investigating on that particular themes or topics.
Okay.
So you are like reasoning on that. It's like a scientist's mind. So all these ascetics at that time known as kind of not only the preserving the teachings, but also investigating on those teachings and practicing on that. And the Buddha also learned that too. And the third one that Buddha gained further understanding in these two. That's why the middle one, the ascetics, those days they were practicing by investigating on whatever they have heard is to gain the enlightenment. Everybody know there is the Buddhahood. Everybody was aiming for that, but they couldn't find the way yet. Yeah, they couldn't. It's like they are still wondering on the concept. They couldn't break that concept through. Yeah? And within that arena, Buddha was also listening all those teachings and then also investigating, reasoning on that, those concepts. And then with that, Buddha went further, not only wondering within the concept, but to break through. And that's how he became the Buddha. That's why so many other ascetics, after hearing that Buddha has arose, they immediately cried. Because they were longing for that. They were thinking of that Buddhahood. Yeah? So that's what the third one is the Bhavana. And now again, when we read the suttas, what we understand that alone this hearing the teaching will not take us to the liberation. Alone investigating, reasoning will also not take us to the enlightenment. And further on, if you don't have these two, if you are just having a meditation, purely going on to it, possibility of misleading too. By not having teacher, not having proper guidance. It will be like, it's called a mono. Yeah? That means fantasizing by yourself.
Yes.
That I have attained this, I have attained that, and I know this, I have attained this, like that.
Yeah, right. Develop egoistic thinking patterns there. Because there's nobody to correct you.
Yeah.
They figure it out.
So with this, that's why Buddha's instruction is that always go back to read the first discourse in the Majjhima Nikaya called the Mula Pariyaya Sutta. It gives you the 62 different types of views that people normally hold on to it. And some because they have heard and investigate, because having heard and memorizing it, having developed one of these 62 views. And some, after hearing, they investigate on that teaching, reasoning on that concept, and with that they have another view. So with this, they are holding on to that view too. And similarly, without having these two, there are some wanderers, they simply go off and practice their own, and they also claim their attainments as well, and which is also danger. This develops into so-called existential belief, one group, and another one is non-existential group, another. So it can develop into those. That's why Buddha's a system of a training is always have to go these three. It doesn't matter where you start from. You can start from anywhere, but you have to comply these three. Only then would be a right path that we are following.
And Ajahn, because there is these three together, so it means like the Buddha who was his teachers. So it means that there was another Buddhas before. How did he achieve that?
The attainment is one thing, another Buddha is another. Okay? So, according to the Buddhist philosophy, there have been uncountable Buddhas in the past. And there will be, again, uncountable Buddhas in the future. And that's entirely because of their capability of attainment of the Buddha. And that's why we claim, the philosophy of a Buddhahood, saying that we all have that quality in us to be the Buddha. And we all are perfecting our perfection to be the Buddha eventually in the future. And it's entirely based on our, dedication, determination, effort, and ability to perfect the perfections. Then we eventually gain that Buddhahood. So we also can be the Buddha. But again, we have to understand that there are different types of the Buddhas. There are some Samma Sambuddha, there are Pacceka Buddha, and there is a Savaka Buddhas. And now the question of the Buddha, if you are asking, similar to the Buddha that we are talking, this Gautama the Buddha, then that will be a Samma Sambuddha. Okay? And that is, again, a little difficult path. A lot of sacrifice and a lot of dedication and a lot of determinations and having a proper mindset that I am going to be the Buddha and should be predicted by another Buddha as well. That okay, you will be like a future Buddha. Like that. And after that prediction, then you have to work hard and you become the Buddha eventually. Like that.
The sasana needs to die as well.
Okay.
Right? So that's why there is no teacher in the last moment of becoming the Samma Buddha. No teacher. If there is a teacher, then that means they will not be having this Samma Sambuddha. They will have a Pacceka Buddha, a possibility of having a Pacceka Buddha, and obviously Savaka Buddha, the disciples who attain the enlightenment. And now, a teaching in terms of the teachings, now, So in terms of the teaching, now how he breaking that concept, basically he attained the enlightenment. And that is known as this dependent origination in a short form. So the moment when you fully understand the dependent origination, then that means you have broken the chain of this conditionality. So you are above it.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have seen the picture of a dependent origination in Tibetan form. There would be a giant monster, and then in this belly it has got a picture of different cycles and different realms, and then one side there will be the Buddha, other side there will be the will, and the Buddha will be pointing at the will, not to the demon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is basically the picture is illustrating that Buddha and the Dhamma, the realization of the Dhamma is beyond this conditioned concept.
Yes. Okay. I
Eh?
see.
And that's how you break the chain, and that's how you attain. So that is the Sambuddha, Samma Sambuddha, and that is from. So this is how the Ekaya know. So we will walk on that path alone. That's why it's called. There is another instruction that a person who is looking for the enlightenment should rejoice in a seclusion. Seclusion and a disregard of any companions, and goes off practicing diligently until you attain the enlightenment. So this path direct to the Nibbana, and there is only this path that leads to the Nibbana, and on this path you cannot take any companions, you have to walk alone. The moment when you are on that path, eventually you will get there. That is Ekaya, and that path is called Satipatthana. Yeah? So that's why Satipatthana is the path. Yeah? Is the path that we have to walk on. And there is a proof of it there too. In the Samyutta Nikaya, I think it's Sutta number 30 or 31 of Satipatthana Samyutta. There is Buddha compared between Satipatthana and Eightfold Noble Path, saying that a person who is practicing Satipatthana means he is practicing Eightfold Noble Path. So that's why this is the path.
Mm.
And once we walk on that, practicing on it, then we will go there. So basically, once we are on that path, will not lead anywhere but to Nibbana. Okay. Okay.
Do it properly though. If not,
Yeah, you have to do it properly, yes, definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
you should read the Buddha Pariyaya and the Brahmadhyaya.
Yeah.
Very important.
Okay, so the Mula Pariyaya Sutta is the first discourse in the Majjhima Nikaya. And the Brahmajala Sutta, he just mentioned, is in the Digha Nikaya, the first long discourse. But he was giving Mula Pariyaya Sutta previously on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
How many days did he give?
I think 6 or 7.
That's
On
not six.
on Sundays.
Sundays, yeah.
It's not enough though. I think we need like a year or 2.
Right? So that's there's like an overview of it. From that. Okay. So I think along the way we will discuss Sati and Satthana and then Visuddhiya. So we have to stop here for today, just focusing on the Ekayana. Okay, we just discussed on the Ekayana.
But you see, Ajahn, I thought I told you, but we read this already the first. There is so much to learn
Still
from the original.
we actually
writing.
went back. Because, just quick question. Satipatthana Visuddhya, when you mention purification, is it the 7 purifications of instinct?
Yeah.
So, Ajahn, let me just ask you something. When if you are a Buddhist in Thailand, or if you are a Buddhist in Sri Lanka, for example, you would study in Pali. You would know. So, and you would not chant, for example, in Pali.
This is not for chanting.
Well, this is chanted in Sri Lanka.
In Sri Lanka it is chanted, but other part no.
I know. So this Ekayano word. So in Sri Lanka, for example, you would develop
No, most people don't
the
know.
meaning. I don't know the meaning.
Yeah, it's like some people just chant it for devotional purposes. They don't understand. It's like, see, when we were talking about earlier, about if you say this is the only way to someone who practices meditation, they would believe it, they would understand it. There's a lot of Buddhists who might not, because they believe they could attain Nibbana without doing Satipatthana.
But this is the original way, like the original language it was written in Pali then.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is believed that. Okay. So again, that's another story.
Okay.
That's another story of a language story.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this is some people believe that many believe that this is the language that the Buddha spoke. There are some who disbelieve, saying that Buddha spoke something else.
Okay.
So that's another philosophical or philological question or investigation needs to be done.
So some people say that he spoke a language very close to this, and some say he spoke many different dialects, but they were all like same family. And Pali is an approximation, but most people believe it is the exact what he spoke.
But there is it's in the Samantapasadika commentary. Buddha Ghosa said that this is a language that is preserving the teaching. That's why it is known as a Pali.
Oh.
So Pali basically means the maintain or protect. So that's why we do not know. But all we know that in the Theravada tradition, Pali is used as a scriptural language.
Yes.
And in Mahayana Buddhism, Sanskrit is used as a scriptural language. Okay. And among these Sanskrit and Pali Buddhist scripture, Pali scripture is believed to be the most authentic and formal. Most complete format, the compilation of the teachings.
More full.
Yeah, more than in the Sanskrit version, and more authentic than the Sanskrit version. Right? So that is the only I can say.
It's not just Theravada saying it, by the way. It's
the
academics.
Okay.
So a lot of people in Sri Lanka and Thailand do study Pali.
Okay, so right then, let's do the loving kindness meditation to finish up. Bring your attention to the moment here and now. Reflect a few moments on tonight's discussion. And bring your attention to the body, feeling sensations. Whatever sensations are there, be mindful of it. And bring that attention to your hands. And to your heart. Generating loving kindness and compassion to yourself. And sharing to yourself. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be at peace. And similarly sharing loving kindness and compassion to all of the sentient beings. Whatever beings there are, visible and invisible beings. Sharing loving kindness and compassion to them, starting from near dear ones to all the entire beings. May they be well, may they be happy, may they be at peace. May they be free from suffering. all beings be happy. Bring your attention to your hands, observing sensations in your hand, and to your body, observing sensations in the entire body, and to your eyes, and as you hear the gong, slowly open up and come out from meditation, reflect for a few moments. Space. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivati Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami.